us were some of the actors and actresses that you were impressed with when you were a girl going to the motion pictures.
You must remember how old I am. There were no talkie pictures. Everything was sort of written out, on the screen.
The silent pictures.
Silent pictures, yes. So I really don't remember hardly any of them now, but I do remember Lon Chaney. We used to see, whenever there was a Lon Chaney movie, we would rush to see that. Rudolph Valentino, yes, that was it. All the girls were crazy about him. I was about 6 or 8 years old at that time.
Tell us how you got into pictures.
How I got into movies?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, dear. Well, I was an extra. I worked as an extra in movies for several years. Then I went to New York. I'm originally a singer and dancer. I used to sing and dance. So I went to New York and worked a nightclub there. And during the time when I was in New York, they were making a movie in Los Angeles. The name of it was Lydia Bailey. So when I came back from New York, Mr. Butler, I would keep calling him, asking him, was anything happening? So he said, yes, Juanita, this picture's coming up. And he said it was Lydia Bailey. So he said, maybe you better come on back. So I came on back to Los Angeles to see what it was all about. And they were doing pre-production shots on it. So he asked me if I wanted to do they had cast the leading parts. They had cast this black girl, beautiful black girl named Suzette Harbin. They had cast her. So they didn't, in the pre-production shots, it was dangerous. You probably didn't see it, but it was very dangerous because at that time, they would really shoot at you with bullets. So I had to run and they were shooting at me and all that stuff, So, I worked about maybe better than 2 weeks. And when I finished and they saw the rushes and they called Suzette Harbin back and she was too short. I was about 2 inches taller than she was and about 2 or 3 shades lighter than she was. She was dark. So they couldn't use her. So that was how I got started as an extra, and then I got this little part. Then a friend of mine was in the picture. His name was Joel Fluellen, a very wonderful actor. He was in this Lydia Bailey, and he told me, he said, Juanita, you should study acting. Why don't you go to school, So I said, okay, I can't afford it. So he said, well, you could work at night, get your job, waiting table, work at night. Because that's what he was doing. He was a waiter at night, and he was going to Actors Lab. So I said, okay. So I got me a job as a waitress. And I worked from, about 9 o'clock in the morning. In the evening until about 2 o'clock in the morning, because all the clubs had to close at 2 o'clock. It was like a chicken shack, but they sold whiskey under the table. So my best customer was Marlon Brando. During that time he was out here doing a Streetcar Named Desire. So I had started going to the Actors Lab, and Marlon used to come in, and he would talk in this restaurant, and he used to talk to me all the time. He said, keep going to that lab, keep studying, Juanita, keep studying. You'll make it, he said. And it was very hard because I didn't get off until 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get to bed till maybe 3 o'clock, maybe 4. And I had to be in class at 8. So that was very hard. But I stuck with it. I stuck with it until, which reminds me what's happening now, the McCarthy investigation. And they said that the Actors Lab, also the Actors Studio at that time, was a communist den. I didn't even know what a communist was. Didn't care, really. And so they closed it. And then we opened, the same young man, Joel Fluellen, he started another acting group. It was called the Negro Art Theater. And we had everybody, Burt Lancaster, everybody was, part of it. There was a sponsor, they would make donations so we could keep it going. It was a wonderful theater, had, just marvelous people in it, involved in it, and the McCarthy investigation closed that. So then Nick Stewart, which is just a wonderful man, he had been trying to open a theater, trying to do something, he said, for his own people. And at that time, they were doing the Amos and Andy television shows, you know. And Nick was, I don't know what that character was Nick did in there. He was like the janitor or something like that, Nicodemus Stewart. So he saved his little money, and he opened a theater on Washington Boulevard at, Washington Boulevard, about the 1800 block. He opened this theater in the Round. And we used to do many productions there. So that helped me a great deal, because every little thing I could get in, I would go. You know, I'd work and go and do the best I could. So that...
Who actually ran the Actors Lab? Do you know who was in charge of it?
I know Phoebe Brand was one, but so many. John Bright, a wonderful writer, wrote Public Enemy. I know he went to Mexico, and there's another one. His friend went to Mexico and he killed himself there. Oh, so many people were hurt by that witch hunt.
Miss Moore, you were just saying that John Negulesco, he directed Lydia Bailey, and you can finish that thought if you like.
Yes, he was the reason that I got the part, because he got me so close in the camera that I think he knew what he was doing, because I had done all the pre-production shots, and it was hard. It was very dangerous. And I think he really knew what he was doing when he got me so close in the camera. Maybe he thought that I deserved the part, you know. But he was really wonderful, and I worked from the beginning to the end in that picture. Dale Robertson, Anne Francis. Yeah, I can remember that.
And the choreography by Jack Cole, they had that wonderful scene.
Oh, yes.
Dancers.
Yes. And the girl, the lead dancer, she was marvelous. I can't remember what her name was. But, yeah, there was, and William Marshall.
That's right.
He was the big, tall King Dick. Yeah, that was his name. That's the first time I had met him. Handsome man. Kind of reminded me a little bit of good-looking Paul Robeson.
And he had that voice, too.
Oh, what a voice. What a voice. He's still about. He's still, well, you know, he's a school teacher. He teaches at some university here. He was a school teacher then when he came out here. But I saw Bill about 2 or 3 months ago.
We'll have to put him on the list.
Oh, yes. He's a wonderful one to put on the list. Bill is a fine man.
I know you worked at several different studios. You worked at Columbia, MGM, United Artists, Universal, for example. Did you have a chance to observe the different studios at all, or would you be brought in just for a couple of days here, a couple of days there?
No, well, the only studio that I spent time with was Universal. And I spent about 3 months there. The rest of them I would be brought in for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, or 2 weeks, or 6 weeks, or something like that. I came into Goldwyn Studio, MGM. I did the Singing Nun with Debbie there. I was there about 6 or 8 weeks. I enjoyed that.
Tell us about that. What were your memories of that picture?
Oh, I have nothing but good memories for that picture, because Debbie is just great to work with. You know, sometimes you work with stars that, they, especially being my color, the camera will focus. They say, that's what they tell me, that the camera will focus on, the audience. Don't care what the actor or actress will be doing. If a black face appears on that screen, they say the audience looks right at the black face. I don't know if that's true or not. But Debbie didn't worry about anything like that. I've done movies where they didn't want me close to them, you know.
Tell me in the comments, is that true? When you see a black face on TV or in the movies, do your visuals just focus on that?
Especially the women, not the men. But Debbie, she didn't care, and we just had a great time.
And you were the only black nun in the convent.
Right, only black one in there.
And you had a lot of nice scenes with Agnes Moorehead,
Oh,
who
yeah.
was the head of the kitchen.
Oh, what a talent, that woman. Oh, Agnes, what an artist. Yeah, I enjoyed working with Agnes. In fact, I enjoyed, and also the priest,
Ricardo Montalban.
Ricardo. Yeah, he was fine. We had really a good cast. And my birthday was, I had a birthday, Debbie gave me a surprise birthday party, and it was really nice, October. My birthday's coming up this month, 19th of this month.
And then you actually were in the scenes where they take Debbie Reynolds over to the recording studio to record her for the singing, the album, the Singing Nun.
Yes. Uh-huh. I went with her, even if I was not in the scene. She would say, "Come on, honey, come on, come on, go with me and do this." When she would be recording, she'd take me with her all the time, which is just wonderful. Yeah, she was a joy to work with.
And who was the director on that picture? Let me see. I should know that, but I don't have it in my notes. I'll move back to that. Tell us about Imitation of Life. That was done over at Universal.
Yes, uh-huh.
How did you get the role in Imitation of Life?
It's amazing how I got that role, because actually the producers wanted Pearl Bailey or Mahalia Jackson. But Ross Hunter, he was I'm talking about the people with the money wanted Pearl Bailey or Mahalia Jackson. But Ross Hunter, I sent him a picture, and he said that he just liked my face, and he wanted to see the body with this face. That's what he said. So he called the agent that I was with, and I went out there and we talked. And I didn't have any idea that, I was going to get the part, because I just knew they were going to use Pearl Bailey, name. I had no name, But he called me about 3 times and had me on camera with several different young girls, that's going to play my daughter. So he finally settled on me, and I was tickled to death. And then he said to me, "Juanita," he said, "I've put my neck out for you." He said, "If you're no good, the picture's not going to be any good." And it just scared me to death, to say that, that how can I carry a whole picture, if I'm no good? But that's what he said. He said, "If you're no good, the picture's not going to be no good." And then he said, "And I'm going to lose all my money."
But it really is your picture, isn't it?
I think so. I really think so. I guess, it was really my picture. Although Lana was exceptionally good, I thought. Well, the scene where I die, we did that early in the making of the picture. I don't know why, but we did. And Lana, she only did it once, just one time. And she couldn't do it anymore because she couldn't stop crying. Because during that time, she was having that trouble. Her daughter is supposed to have killed this man. And she couldn't stop crying, so she could come back for about 3 days after that. She came back, but her face was all swollen and she couldn't go on camera for about 3 days after that. So I was wondering, why did they shoot that scene so soon, Should have waited till the end of the picture maybe, but there must have been some reason. But that was quite a jump for me and quite a responsibility. One day, that's why Lana was so marvelous. I tell you, she was patient with me, because one day I did 23 takes. 23 takes, you hear me? And Lana stood right there, because it was with Lana, and she stood right there and put up with me for 23 times, and I still didn't get it. And when the director...
Mr. Cirque.
Yeah, Douglas, he was so patient. Juanita, now you got to do this. You come look at yourself. Come look. And he would take me to look at the film, and I could see the muscles in my face. They're just jumping. He said, "Now we can't have that, Juanita." He says, "Now you go home, and when you come back tomorrow, you don't do no jumping with me. Don't do no face muscles with me." And so he let me go home. And when
Tell me in the comments, do you think her face was jumping because she was nervous?
I came back, the next day, I was fine. I relaxed and I had everything going my way. But that's, that is quite a responsibility for somebody to tell you that if you're no good, the picture's not going to be any good, And I kept thinking about that. But thank goodness it made more money than any picture that Universal had made it during that time. So it was quite a hit.
Did you actually have to do a screen test for that?
Oh, yes. I did a screen test with Susan Kona and the child that was drowned going to Catalina off the
Natalie
boat.
Wood.
Yeah, I did a screen test with her. And then Susan, Susan's mother's Mexican. So, and her father's Jewish. But Susan had the color, She wasn't white. She was more brown, and I think that's why they chose her, because her coloring, is different. And the other girls, there was, about 3 or 4 of them and Susan, they liked Susan better. We keep in touch, every time my birthday, she should be coming out. She comes out and take me to lunch and everything.
Were you intimidated by Lana Turner at all being brought in with this? Because she'd had quite a career up to that point.
No, not at all, because nobody would give Lana a job at that time. But she was wise because she took a percentage of the picture. Nobody would hire her. So Ross told me that. He said nobody would invest in Lana because all that scandal and stuff was going at the time, it's supposed to kill her.
The Johnny Stompanato.
Yeah, Johnny Stompanato, and her daughter. It says her daughter killed him. I don't know who shot him, if Lana did or stabbed him. That's right. I don't know if Lana did or her daughter.
You were nominated for Best Supporting Actress for that
Yes.
role. Tell us about your reaction when you heard the nomination.
Oh, I was in London when I heard the nomination. I was doing a play there, and I was excited, of course. My husband called me and he told me that I had been nominated. I said, "Oh, that's just great." But before I was nominated, I can't remember who this director was, but he came to see our show in London, and he told me, he said, "Juanita, you're going to be nominated." And I thought he was, full of baloney. He said, "You watch and see, you're going to be nominated." And I was. He told the truth. I was nominated. At that time, the actors could, not that I would have won anyway, but because Susan was also nominated. But now who was it that was nominated? Shelley Winters. Shelley Winters was nominated for The Diary of Anne Frank. She was nominated as the star of The Diary of Anne Frank. She changed her category. Ross called me and told me that. And he says, "Well, I'll be sure that won't happen again. That the actors can change the category." But I don't think I would have won it anyway, but at least you cannot do that anymore. You can't change your category from being the star of a movie to supporting actor or actresses. So that worked out all right.
Did you attend the ceremonies?
The Academy
The
Awards?
Academy Awards?
Yes, I did.
Was that exciting?
It was frightening, really, to be truthful to you, because, when you're being nominated, it only changes the perception of the kind of character that I had been doing. It was simply that I didn't want to carry the trays anymore. And I knew that was the only kind of job that I was going to get. I knew that, but I did not want to do that. So I don't know if being nominated helped me or not, because I didn't work for a whole year after that. And when I did work, I worked for Ross. He brought me back as a nurse in some movie. I can't remember what it was. But I did a movie with Louise Fletcher. She won the supporting actress award. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Two Moon Junction? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's what I did, Louise Fletcher. And she told me that, she said, well, you know, I won it, honey. You know, that's the way she talked. I won it, honey, and I didn't work for a whole year, and I still haven't worked and made any money. And she won it. We were talking about, you know, being nominated, if it helps you or what else. And she said it didn't help her at all, because she won. She's a nice person to work with. She really is.
Imitation of Life was released in 1959. You'd been in pictures for a while, and yet the credits said, and presenting.
Tell me your thoughts about that movie, The Imitation of Life.
Juanita Moore as Annie, as though you were a new player.
Yes. Ross said he thought that it would get me more attention if he did it that way. And it did. It really did. He said I could get lost in the credits. He was sweet. He was very nice.
I think he was an incurable romantic.
I think so, because the movies that he made, you know, Pillow Talk and a couple more, you know.
All That Heaven Allows.
Yeah, yeah.
Magnificent Obsession.
Yeah, right.
Tell us about the publicity, what you had to endure as a player going out to publicize the movie.
Well, I went. They sent me to Chicago, to Cleveland, to New York, and I enjoyed it. It was fun, you know, except here in Los Angeles. One night, this lady had a newspaper, and she didn't want them. You know, that's a remake, Imitation of Life. Did you know that? You know that. Well, anyway, she didn't. Lomax, her name was Lomax. She had a newspaper, and she didn't want them to do the remake of Imitation of Life. So when they had me to come to the directors' guild at that time, they had a showing of it, and they wanted me. That was before they released it. They wanted me to come, and I did. And she was there, and she had about 3 or 4 people with her, and she protested, you know, and she asked me why did I do it, you know, why did I, you know, consider making this movie, and that was the only time I had any trouble at all. But I knew Lomax, that was her name. I knew her. I knew she was going to do this. Before she did it, I just felt, you know, that she was going to pull something like that. But that was the only time. But because I went to Chicago, and that was when I was telling you about the man behind the camera told me don't say nothing about the Actors Lab. And I did. I said about the Actors Lab just as big. He said, don't mention the Actors Lab. He said, because it's going to be all on the air, and you don't know what might happen to you after you say that. They might not. But I mentioned the Actors Lab. I had nothing to hide, you know, because you see what it was. It was just absolutely nothing.
Did you go to any of the premieres of Imitation of Life? I guess what I want to know is, did you sit in a theater with an audience and watch that picture?
Yes, I did, at the Paramount Theater, but right here. And everybody was crying. Men as well as women. They were just crying. Everybody was crying, you know. And so then when I came out of the theater, I was trying to get away, you know, because I didn't want to say they were going to say, there she is watching her. But I took my husband went with me. And, you know, I signed a lot of autographs. And, yeah, they were crying as well as the women, you know.
It's a really emotional picture.
Yeah.
It's some of my best friends, it's their favorite picture, and they watch it and they sob through the entire thing.
Yeah, even now, you know, they show it. Somebody's always calling me, say, you're on, Juanita. I said, oh, no, not again. Yes, you're on. I said, I'm not getting any money for it. Yeah, they play it often, don't they? They really do. I did a movie many, many years ago that I would certainly like to get to see with Rita Hayworth. It was about.
Was that with Glenn Ford and Rita Hayworth?
Yes.
That would have been over at Columbia then.
Yes. Yes.
I'll have to look that one up for you. I can't remember what that was now.
Affair in Trinidad, that was the name of it, yeah. I enjoyed that because I had an accent in that, you know. From the islands, I had that kind of accent. I studied with a girl from the islands so I could have a flavor of the accent, you know.
Can I ask you about some of your specific movies now? I wanted to go to Women's Prison.
Oh, my goodness. Where do you dig up all these movies?
Well, we do show that one, so I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. You ended up in prison.
Yeah.
I love there was a black women's cell. In that, of course, you had your own cell with the black women in there. The white women were segregated.
See, even in the prison, you're segregated. I was telling somebody about Miami, you know, what happened to that down there. But I went down there to do a movie. Yeah, even in prison, I was segregated. Right, absolutely. That was with, what's her name?
Ida Lupino.
Ida Lupino. She was nice working with her.
But she was the sadistic matron who would come in and beat up.
Right, beat up on us. But she was really nice, a nice person. Is she from England or someplace?
She was originally from England.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But that had quite a cast. That had Jan Sterling.
Jan Sterling, yeah.
Audrey Totter.
Audrey Totter, my God, yeah.
So how many days would it take to shoot something like Women's Prison? 2 weeks? Or?
No, I was on it 4 weeks. It took longer than that. But I was just 4 weeks on it. That was fast. Because, you know, at that time, they were slow, you know, because they didn't pay you any money. And they could just drag you out and, you know, make you do different things. So I was 4 weeks on it. And it hadn't finished then, so I don't really know how.
Did you ever sign a long-range contract with any studio, or did you freelance?
I freelanced. No, never.
Did you
I don't know anybody that did other than Hattie McDaniel. She signed with MGM, you know. I don't know. And Lena Horne, of course.
With Fox?
Lena.
Did you ever know Hattie McDaniel at all? That I was going to ask you if you felt like her Oscar win helped your profession in any way.
Yeah, I think it did. Yes, I knew Hattie very well.
Tell us about Hattie McDaniel.
Oh, she was a joy. Was she a joy? I tell you. Well, at one time, blacks didn't live near Western Avenue in Washington. And Hattie bought this mansion just off Western Avenue and Washington Boulevard. And she said, child, when I buy that house, I'm going to have a party. And you're going to be invited. Well, we bought that house, you know. She did that movie. She made some money. She bought that house. It was a beautiful house, beautiful. And she had this party. And what a party. When you went in her door, she greeted you with a glass. Not, she didn't, but she had help, you know. They greeted you with a, what do you drink? And my husband drinks scotch. I do too. And scotch. They greeted you with 2 half pints of scotch. One for me, one for my husband. 2 glasses of water with ice in it. And you go from there. It was quite a celebration. I'm telling you, we had such a great time because the house was so elaborate and swimming pool and, you know, the rich area where Caucasians used to live. You know, they all began to move out. You know, they're all out by now, and it's down. A lot of Latins live in the area, but she was a sweet woman.
She could do anything, couldn't she?
Oh, sure. She could sing. She could do anything. She's just a talented woman. In fact, her whole family, her brother was talented. She had 2 brothers. They were all talented.
But she could do drama.
Yes.
She could do comedy.
Yes, she could. She could be very funny. Yes, because she could, you know, she's a brilliant woman. She was, I think you can do those kind of things when you're not that kind of person. And that's why she was so good as in Gone with the Wind. Because she, you know, she talked, and she's not a Southerner by a long shot, but she talked that talk, walked that walk, and did just marvelous, I thought.
Was she proud of that Oscar win?
Oh, was she? Oh, she was tickled to death. Yes, she was very proud. Yes, she was. She was so proud.
I'll never forget the footage of that Oscar win when she's just sobbing and saying that she hoped she'd been a credit to her race.
Mm-hmm. Yes. She was. She really was. Because to take that kind of part and being the kind of woman that Addie was, it could have been difficult. Because, she went to college, and to be able to adjust to talk down like she did what she did, she did. And she did it so believable. She had to do it believable to win the Oscar. Because there was a lot of nominations that year.
I want you to take this time and make sure you remember to go watch the Hattie McDaniel story. I'll make sure I tag it in the video.
But, and she was so nice within. That's what she reflected. And she always had time to talk. Yeah, she was a gem, just a gem.
You did a picture over at MGM called Skirts Ahoy, and you actually didn't have a line in it, but you were brought in as part of the Black Women's Drill Team.
Right, sure did.
But in the middle of the picture, they're having sort of a talent show, and you come in with, I guess, about 20 women, and you
do a dance like.
Do you remember that with the... I think you have flags even, and you do the drill team.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
You worked on a picture called Ransom.
Oh, that was with same man. He's wonderful. Yeah, yeah. I did that. I think they did a remake of that, didn't they?
But you played opposite a great actor, Juanita Hernandez.
Oh, yes, Juanita. Mm-hmm. That's right, Juanita and Glenn Ford. And who was the girl? I can't remember.
Donna Reed.
Donna Reed, yes.
Tell us about Juanita. He had been nominated, too.
Yes, yes. Juanita Hernandez, I can't remember what they used to call him. Something about, he used to be like a weightlifter when he was younger, in New York. And we had a house, not this husband here, another husband that I had, my first husband. We had a house in New York, and that's when I first met Warner. We had this great big house, and he was so strong. And we had to have coal, how New York is, the furnace and all that. And that's what he used to do. He used to bring coal to different people, Caucasians who lived there in the area at the time. We were the only black family in there. I don't know how we got in there. But anyway, he used to, I don't know what you call, stoke the coal, start the furnace, or whatever that word is. Stoke the furnace or something like that. And that's when I met Warner. And at that time, he was studying to be an actor. Yeah, that's telling you how old I am. I don't care. Yeah, and that's how I met him at that time. And then the next thing I know, Warner was in California, and he did marvelous picture. I can't think of the name.
Shooter in the Dust.
Yes. Oh, he was just strong and excellent. And that's the way he was. He was a strong man, He really was. And when he did this movie, Intruder in the Dust, he was absolutely phenomenal in that, I thought. And what we did together was much of, not much of anything, except the child got kidnapped, didn't it?
Uh-huh. You got to vacuum the steps.
Oh, that was good. Thank goodness. At least they kept me for about 6 weeks on that movie. I got a chance to make a little money, And working with Warner was a treat, We would go out for lunch and talk.
Well, you actually had some great lines together. You would banter back and forth. He'd be coming down the steps and you'd be going up.
Oh, really?
Vacuuming.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's a nice picture.
Is it? I thought it was nice. A long time ago when I saw it, I thought it was, a nice picture. And when I saw Ransom this time, I said, is this the same Ransom that we did, Because Glenn Ford was excellent in it, I thought.
What do you remember about Walk on the Wild Side? That was kind of a crazy picture.
Barbara Stanwyck and Jane Fonda was in that. My goodness.
Juanita Moore was in it, and who else? Oh, a lot of people were in that. Lawrence Harvey was in that, and Ann Baxter. It was
Yeah, it had
kind
a
of a crazy movie.
Yeah, well, it was about actually, it was about whores, you know, prostitutes,
And
I should
you were
say.
there with them.
Yeah, I was there. I was a cook and everything. I was a household clean, kept the rooms clean, and helped her with the men that they, you know, would bring into the place and all that jazz. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, Barbara Stanwyck was the head honcho, and then I was next. You know, big fat black woman.
Yeah, she was the madam, and you did 2 pictures with her. You did
Yeah.
Witness to Murder with her.
Yes, I did.
And Walk on the Wild Side.
Uh-huh.
Did you get to know her?
Yes, I did. I got to. She was. Oh, she used to be a dancer, you know. At one time, she was.
Ruby Stevens.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You said she was somewhat of a loner.
She was. You know, after she married, what was that good-looking man's name that she married?
Taylor.
Robert Taylor. And after they separated, she just didn't want, you know, no relationship at all. The girl that worked for her, all those years, they were like sisters, and they were like sisters, really. She built her a apartment right off Adams Boulevard in Hauser. Barbara built this, I think, about 8 apartments for her. She outlived Barbara, though. Barbara died, of course. But she was so nice to work with. She was just a kind woman. Not a star. You didn't even think of Barbara being a star or nothing like that. Just maybe your neighbor, because that's the way she was. Just like your neighbor, just like, you're sitting there and talking. That's the way she would do. She'd just sit down and she'd talk. We'd reminisce about New York, because I had my time in New York, and she had too. So we'd talk about New York and things. But she was just a fine woman. I think she was terribly disappointed with the relationship she had with that good-looking man, Because you never did read anything bad about Barbara. Not at all. You never read, about her going out with this person. Nothing like that about her. She just lived her own life. She and this, I can't think of this girl's name that was with her all these years. A companion. That's what Barbara said she was. A companion.
In Walk on the Wild Side, she was the madam, but in Witness to Murder, she got thrown in the insane asylum, and that's where you came in, and you got to sing. You got to sing in Witness to Murder.
I did?
Yes, you're in the insane asylum where she's thrown, because Herbert Marshall, George Sanders is trying to drive her crazy.
Uh-huh.
And he gets her put in the insane asylum, and there you are, and you get to sing.
I did, huh? Did I sound pretty good? I can't remember.
Sounded fine.
I did.
I don't know why you were in the insane asylum.
I don't know why I was there either. I don't even remember being there, but I know I was because I did sing something. Yeah.
Now, I watched Raisin in the Sun because some of the credits list you as being in that.
I was not in Raisin in the
And
Sun.
I could not find you anywhere.
No, I did the London company of Raisin in the Sun. I didn't do the movie. Claudia McNeil did the movie. Mm-hmm. I stood by for that, though. Sydney had me to come on the set practically every day because they thought that they were going to fire her. Every day they thought they were going to fire Claudia because I guess she just disapproved of certain things, Not used to doing movies, it was slow for her. And so I was there almost every day. They called me because they thought that I would have to, jump in and replace. So they paid me, but I was there.
I think it was a good showcase for a lot of the young talent.
The movie?
Raisin in the Sun? Yeah.
Oh, the stage play was, because it was a tremendous success, in New York and every place that we did it. It was. I didn't have an opportunity to do it in New York. I just stood by because the same thing was happening in New York was happening here. Was that they brought me to New York to see it because I was going to do the London company, the touring company with it, and Sydney would say, "You better stay because you never know if Claudia get angry and walk off the stage and won't come back."
Tell me about Sidney Poitier.
Oh, Sydney. Sidney is a very nice man. When you say nice man, that's what Sidney is, a gentleman. He really is. He's always been a gentleman. And couldn't ask for to work with a nicer person than Sidney. He's very thoughtful and he.
And paved the way for a lot of the younger black actors.
Yes. First thing I saw Sidney in was, I can't even remember what it was. It was sort of a rebellious movie with all young fellas.
Blackboard Jungle.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah. Somebody else was in that, too, that was became a star man, like a young man. Can't remember, but
And Glenn Ford was in that, too.
Was Glenn Ford in?
He was the teacher.
He was. I don't remember him being in that.
Tell us about some of the roles that you were offered through the years. Did you just begin to get tired of it? Were you offered the same type roles again?
Yeah, the same type roles. That's what I got tired of. That's why I haven't worked for, maybe 5 years, I guess. I get tired of doing the same thing. You know, I'm not bringing the trays in anymore. I'm not. Yeah, so I haven't, I don't miss it. Because I did, I do stage work now and then when I feel like it. But since my husband has been ill like he is, I just sort of refuse to go out of town, to do stage work or anything like that. If I'd get a good script, something worthwhile, I'd do it. But today they're making so many horrible movies. I can't understand what's being made today. It's just nothing but trash.
Tell me in the comments, what is your definition of a horrible movie?
As far as the black movies are concerned.
Are there any younger players today that you look at and you like? Any of the young black kids coming up that you like?
That I like?
Like a Lawrence Fishburne, or do you get to see any of the young black talent?
Yeah, I do. Lawrence, I think he's talented, Lawrence Fishburne, yeah. I think he has talent. And also, who is this girl? What is her name? They just throw so much together that don't mean nothing. That's what I don't like. And I try to see most of them, but you pay $6 or $8 to see a lot of junk, and it's just wasting time. So I don't, I would say, it'll be on TV pretty soon. You can see it. So I can't. I'm trying to think. I saw Lawrence in, what was it? It was about the Air Corps or something.
The Tuskegee Airmen?
Yes. That was good. That was worthwhile. That was something. I thought that was something to see. I saw that on TV, though. And Lawrence, let's see, I haven't seen him in anything. He did, was he in the movie with, what was he in?
He was in the Tina Turner thing. What's Love Got to Do with It, I think?
Yeah, was he? He was in that.
And I forget the name of the woman in that. I don't know.
Angela
Bassett.
Yeah, Angela Bassett. I saw her in some movie with 4 women.
Yes.
Whitney Houston and, what was that?
Waiting to Exhale.
Yeah,
Exhale.
Waiting to Exhale.
Are there people that you worked with, black performers, that you feel have been neglected, like Juanita Hernandez? Can you think of any that you really admire that you just don't hear their names today?
Well, Sidney is one. Sidney Poitier. He's one that I feel that, has been neglected.
Underrated.
Really, absolutely. And Harry Belafonte. And who else? Some of the women
Dorothy Dandridge?
Oh, well, I think the business really killed her. She couldn't survive it. It was just too much. And I think that's why she is dead now, that, they build you up and yet nothing happens to you. And that's what Dorothy couldn't stand that, you know. And I think she must have resorted to something else. I've known her since, I had known her since she was 13 years old.
What about Ethel Waters? Did you get to know her at all?
Yeah, I knew Ethel Waters. First time I met Ethel Waters, I was a chorus girl at the Apollo Theater. And she came in there for a week or two or something like that. She brought her own band in. And the band leader was the band leader, I'm laughing because that woman, Ethel Waters, was something else. The band leader was her boyfriend, you know. So we came to rehearsal that morning, like 9 o'clock, rehearsal at the Apollo Theater. So she brought in her husband, and she said, she came on stage, and he was in the pit. She says, I want you girls to know that this is my husband here. My man, my husband, or whatever I'm not using her language, or whatever else you want to call him. And then she turned around to us and she says, I don't want none of you to even look at him. You know, you can imagine what she said. Boy, she had, that Ethel Waters was something else.
I want you to take this time and go into the comments. I want you to list all of those underrated actors and actresses. Also, tell me your thoughts about this video. This is the best interview given by Juanita Moore.